U.S. friend or enemy? Which is more dangerous? To be an enemy to America can be dangerous, but to be a friend to America can be fatal. The remarks said by Henry Kissinger, who is now elderly but is by no means venerable, have never been more relevant than they are right now. The United States of America is notorious for redefining terms in order to serve its own agenda. The meaning of the term friend in the United States of America is not the same as it is in other countries. Of course, friend is not the only word in the English language that has a unique connotation in the United States of America compared to the rest of the world. What did Henry Kissinger mean when he said that many years ago? Because the United States has a history of frequently turning on its allies and betraying them. He dangles the carrot in front of his dim-witted companions and rewards them with sticks. The first component, that having an adversary might be hazardous. 1. During the 1971 Mukti Bahani liberation of Bangladesh, India saw the potential for danger when the United States acted against India. Since the USSR was India's ally but the United States' opponent. B. The second component, which is that having friends may be fatal. 1. At the time, East Pakistan was a close ally of the United States. And as a direct consequence of this relationship, Pakistan suffered the loss of a significant portion of its territory. 2. The United States considered South Vietnam to be a friend. South Vietnam no longer exists. 3. The Afghan government was a reliable ally of the United States until the Taliban took control of the country in August of 2021. 4. Prior to his ouster in 1979 during the Islamic Revolution, the Shah of Iran was a close ally of the United States of America. Exile was fatal for him. 5. Before the United States changed its diplomatic recognition to the People's Republic of China in 1979, the Republic of China, often known as Taiwan, was a close ally of the United States. Now that it has been determined that the United States does not like the People's Republic of China, the U.S. wants the people of Taiwan to fight to the death against any effort by the PRC to seize control of their country, just as Ukraine is fighting right now. What are your thoughts on the potential for Taiwan's future? 6. In 2003, the United States attacked Iraq and ultimately succeeded in removing and assassinating Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was a close ally of the United States of America. 7. The United States considers Ukraine a close ally. What is taking place in Ukraine right now, as well as what will take place in the future? In a nutshell, it indicates that a U.S. buddy is required to precisely comply, order by order, every single word and line of what it states. The United States has repeatedly shown that it cannot be trusted as a trustworthy ally in international affairs. The United States' efforts to form an anti-China coalition in Asia have similarly been a dismal failure, and for many of the same reasons as those efforts. No nation in Asia views China as a very dangerous adversary. The United States' efforts to manufacture security concerns, where none exist, have been met with complete and utter indifference by the countries of Southeast Asia. Relationships between China and its Asian neighbors are not terrible, with the exception of South Korea and Japan, both of which are occupied states. Ismail Yaqub, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, made the following statement: "When Americans come to Asia, all they want to talk about is security. We do not have any urgent security concerns. When Asian nations get together, we talk about trade. Any problems can be resolved through negotiation and diplomacy. The discussion among Asian states about the need of forming an Asian NATO is the primary source of worry over national security. It should come as no surprise that the recent efforts by the United States to install missiles directed at China in 6 Asian nations failed to find any takers. If the United States had been listening, which is very unlikely, they would have heard that it is not required nor desired in an area that just wants to do business. To have friendly relations with the United States in Asia requires one to have hostile relations with China, which no Asian nation believes is a price worth paying. Russia, another of America's adversaries, has fought all efforts to damage its economy and has recovered to have the most powerful currency in the world. Russia's ruble is now the most valuable currency in the world. As a result of the obvious objectives driving the fighting in Ukraine, many countries are secretly rooting for Russia in their struggle against the empire, which is their shared adversary. Outside of the typical suspects that make up the NATO clique, there was very little support for the sanctions that were meant to destroy Russia. As a result of the catastrophic shortages of food, energy, and money that the globe is now experiencing, an increasing number of nations are looking to Russia and China for assistance. What is the state of America's allies at a time when America's adversaries continue to bask in widespread support? Not quite as good. By participating in the ludicrous anti-China rhetoric that was stoked by Trump, the economies of Australia, Canada, and Britain have committed economic suicide by alienating a vital trading partner in order to appease the demands of the United States. The provocation in Ukraine is primarily to blame for the terrible food and energy shortages as well as the quickly rising prices that American allies in Europe have been forced to endure as a direct consequence of the situation in Ukraine. Not to mention the initiation of an unneeded and hazardous war in their neighborhood. A war that no one else desired save the United States, NATO, which was fought in their neighborhood. And of course, the Ukraine itself is now facing loss and devastation as a result of being goaded into a terrible conflict against an adversary that is far stronger than it is. The West is obstructing any and all efforts made by the unfortunate Zelensky to reach a peace settlement. Apparently not so long as there are still living Ukrainians in this world. In spite of the reassuring words said to him by his American masters, the expendable Zelensky finds himself to be in a terribly alone position. The once thriving post-Soviet Ukraine has degenerated into a desolate, impoverished husk of its former self in recent decades. After all is finished, Zelensky may very well flee to his $45 million mansion in Miami. But unfortunately, the poor people of Ukraine will bear the brunt of the repercussions of American friendship for many decades to come. If the United States of America has its way, the catastrophe that befell the Ukraine will soon befall America's friends in Taiwan. In spite of all of the efforts to prod China into taking a step that would elicit international condemnation and, most likely, sanctions, China has shown a significant amount of caution. It is doubtful that it will be lured into the game since it is aware of what is going on, and because Taiwan is unlikely to make a stupid declaration of independence. Since 1944, both South Korea and Japan have been under foreign military occupation. Despite the fact that the majority of residents are opposed to the presence of American troops, they are nonetheless required to show loyalty to the United States. In the event of a confrontation between China and the United States, China would almost certainly make its bases in the United States its top priority for attack. Despite this, both countries turned down proposals from the United States to host Chinese missile tests on their territories. The decline in American influence has accelerated dramatically over the last several months, and it has come at a very inopportune moment. The United States of America is in more need of friends than it has ever been before. Yet it is becoming harder and harder to find them. Even the United Nations' longtime friends and supplicants, such as Saudi Arabia and the Gulf nations, are ignoring the United States' appeal to produce more oil. Without any sense of shame, they also went to Venezuela to plead for oil. And it should come as no surprise that they did not find any allies or answers there either. To return to Henry Kissinger, according to his definition, being a friend or an adversary of the United States might carry the same level of risk. America has no permanent friends or enemies, only interests. As the saying goes, and it's a very significant accurate truth that every 4 years, the policies of America might change depending on who is chosen to be the president. That is one of the extremely significant events for everyone who is friendly with the United States. Pay attention to what he has to say, especially those who believe themselves to be friends of the United States. Henry Kissinger is not entirely accurate, since there are certain exceptions to his statements. The United States of America counts among its allies not only Great Britain but also France, Italy, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and most importantly Israel. As long as certain criteria are met, all of them stand to gain strategically. economically, politically, and culturally, by maintaining friendly relations with the United States. The video for today has come to an end. We are grateful that you took the time to view this enlightening video. Remember to subscribe to our channel, so you don't miss any of the most groundbreaking content. If you enjoyed watching this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, showing it to your friends, and giving it a like. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.